What's up, people? If you are interested in becoming a better communicator, in expressing your thoughts more clearly, more articulately, then stick around because that's what I'm going to cover in this video. So, Jordan Peterson, he's a very well spoken, if that's the right use of the phrase, individual. He's a very articulate communicator. And there's a video on YouTube where a young man um, is seeking advice from Jordan Peterson on how to be a better communicator. And there's two things that Jordan Peterson talks about in that video that I want to cover here. So, but before I get into those things, of course, he says to practice, and that makes sense. That's the obvious thing. If you want to get better at anything, you've got to put in the work, you've got to practice it. And I want to be a better communicator myself, and so recording this video is going to be helpful, or it is helpful. It's putting in the work. I mean, no matter where you are in the journey, um, there's always room for improvement, and so I've been called an articulate communicator. I've been called articulate. I've been called an eloquent speaker, but there's always room to grow, and so this is practice for me. Anyway, so yeah, of course, practice. But that's the obvious thing. The first thing that I want to get into that Jordan Peterson talks about in the video, and I'll send a link, or I'll put a link to it to the video in the comments. It'll be good to watch if you're interested. But the first thing that I'm going to talk about that Jordan Peterson covers in the video is reading. Whoop. Okay, I dropped my bottle. Anyway, reading. So why reading? Why would reading help you become a better communicator? Well, think about it. Reading, or books are a very refined piece of content, meaning someone who isn't, or a book that is published oftentimes goes through a long process before it's published. You've got the drafting and the editing, proofreading. It's gone through a process in order to make the message more clear. And so it's a refined form of communication. And as you expose yourself to the different books that you read, these pieces of refined communication where someone is clearly expressing, or at least attempting to clearly express their thoughts, then as the biblical principle, there's a biblical principle that by beholding we become changed. So as you expose yourself to these different pieces of refined communication, then it's going to have an influence on you. It's going to have an influence on the way you speak. You're going to be exposed to different patterns of speech and how people express their thoughts, and that's going to help you become a better communicator. And then the second thing that I want to cover that Jordan Peterson talks about in that video is writing. And I think writing is a powerful way to practice expressing your thoughts clearly without the time constraint or the time pressure that there is in conversation or in verbal speaking, in verbally communicating. Because when you're in a conversation with someone, you don't have the time, or a lot of time, to really think about what you're saying and pick it apart and process your thoughts before they're expressed. But in writing, you have that opportunity. It's a safe place. Like, even if you don't even have to share what you write. Just write. Just the process of writing will help you become a better communicator, because you're going through the motions, the mental processes of taking your thoughts and putting them into words, crystallizing them. And you've probably experienced, I know I've experienced, where something sounds better in my head than it does when I actually go to speak it. Like, you start to fumble You trip over your words. Things just don't come out sounding as good as they did or as impressive as they did in your head. That's I'm sure a lot of people have experienced that. I've experienced that. But writing gives you the opportunity to practice, to give your mind that exercise that it needs, to the mental exercise of taking your thoughts and putting them into coherent words, coherent sentences, things like expressing them clearly. So yeah, I think as far as writing goes, it's a powerful way to practice expressing yourself clearly, articulately, because it gives you that opportunity. And he says like even 15 minutes a day, which, I mean, if you want to do 15 minutes a day, that's great. Um, but like something is better than nothing. If even 5 minutes or a couple sentences, a paragraph or two, just taking the time to write down your thoughts without, like, even if you write down, would that help? Well, anyway, just taking the time to write, I think is very, very helpful as far as becoming a better, more articulate communicator, a better, more clear speaker, someone who expresses their thoughts more clearly. So anyway, I'm gonna stop here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in whatever next video I publish. All right, so see ya.